So I'd like you to undertake a new journey with me to the flame of ruin, far above the clouds, upon the snowy mountain tops of the giant. Then I can set the Erdtree aflame. Down the path to becoming Elden Lord.
Burning the Erdtree to reach the Elden Ring. This was Malena's purpose that she has forgotten, and the reason why she was sent by her mother, the God Queen, Marika. Was the tree just waiting for the world to collapse? Even way before Morgoth became Elden Lord, the Erdtree had refused all who attempted to enter with thorns. And Marika knew that in order to put an end to the Elden Beast's reign, the Erdtree must be burned down to ashes, and thus she had sent Malenia to the lands between. However, although that purpose was given to her, Malenia decided to act of her own volition regardless of her mother, and set her heart upon burning the Erdtree. The Tarnished hadn't a better option, so once again, he decided to embark on another journey with Malenia. But before that, they had another issue that they had to tend to. The demigod who claimed Mount Gilmir as his domain, Praetor Rykard. Sullen and grim were the atmosphere. Where the worst battle of the Shattering happened, was still smeared with despair and agony. While killing the miserable damned with mercy, through Rykard's castle, Volcano Manor, the Tarnished are wrapped in a village submerged in lava. After seeing traces of tortures and man-serpents made from inhuman experiments, and these cheesy Iron Maiden knockoff monsters, the Tarnished made his way up the burning castle and entered the church on top of the town. One of the apostles of the Dusk-Eyed Queen, wearing cloth made of patches of skin, the Godskin Noble. The attacks were unexpectedly fast coming from that size. Its true power to slay gods was lost, but the black flame he wielded was still powerful, forcing the Tarnished to a hard fight. And then, that rollout with fat flapping all over the place hurt both physically and mentally. So with a sword taller than his height, he kept striking, using the true boss of souls, the pillars, to one's advantage, the Tarnished, at last, could pierce a giant hole in that bloated body. With the noble slain, the Tarnished made his way to where the Praetor was hiding, and found the god-devouring serpent that had devoured Rykard to become one. Even one flick of his tail was lethal. The Tarnished maneuvered to strike back, yet his tough skin didn't even suffer a dent. But at that time, the Tarnished found a fabled weapon. A weapon Rykard's men found to halt his blasphemy. An ancient great spear used to hunt an immortal great serpent, the Serpent Hunter. The Tarnished took the knight's oaths as his own, and wielded the spear with determination. Then after countless strikes, the giant snake of blasphemy fell. The gruesome return of the Lord of Blasphemy, Rykard. He had one purpose, with the unlimited power from devouring, committing the most blasphemous of devouring the gods. So, to Rykard, devouring the living meant being bound one in the serpent, to become one and walk the path of blasphemy together. His method was extreme, but he also meant to fight against the greater will, resist his influence. Rykard knew his past was perilous, but he swore to walk this simple road for his cause. But despite good or bad intentions, this endless act of devouring and destruction needed to stop. Death-like sorceries and swings of the blasphemous sacred blade.
We can devour God together.
But the Tarnished never intended to succumb and be one. After slaying yet another demigod, he made his way to find the Forge of the Giants on the northeast of the lands. Traversing through the Forbidden Lands, he reached the mountaintops of the Giants. In the fabled domain of the Giants now in ruins, he discovered a castle said to be Godwin's, called Castle Sol, and encountered a veteran general who guarded the castle, Commander Neo, and took him down. As he investigated, he found a medallion that Miquella gave Godwin, the Haligtree secret medallion, and made his way to find another great rune, probably located where the Haligtree is, and arrived in consecrated snowfield. Galloping through the blinding blizzard, he reached the liturgical town of Ordina, where machine gun-like arrows put him in great miseries and broke the seals to finally uncover this alternate great tree, Miquella's Haligtree. One wrong step could result in instant death in the tree. Dodging his way through the bubbles fired by Oracle envoys, the Tarnished arrived in the city built as the base of the Haligtree, the city of Elflail. Cleanrot Knights loyal to Malenia, and Haligtree Knights loyal to Miquella. Taking them down, the Tarnished dove deeper into the roots. Like signs that the avatar of rot was there, the traces of scarlet rot oozed within. And through the horrid servants of the rot, the Tarnished went down to the bottom of the tree to reach the very roots of the Haligtree.
I dreamt for so long. My flesh was dull gold, and my blood rotted. Corpse after corpse left in my wake, as I awaited his return. Heed my words. I am Malenia, Blade of Mikola. And I have never known defeat.
Blade of Mikola, Malenia. Ever since the moment of her birth, she had harbored rot within. Another outer god besides the greater will. It is said that the rot originated from the goddess of Ra. And when the flower of Scarlet Aeonia blooms thrice, it will make the user of the flower into a true goddess. Once in the past, in an unknown event. And then, during the battle with Radon, Malenia already bloomed her flower twice. The scarlet rot festered within her without stopping, so the only thing she could do was wait for her brother to return. And now, against this intruder seeking the Great Room, Malenia pulled out her blade once more. But her poise was rather low, and it seemed like her HP wasn't that much. So the Tarnished thought this would be an easy fight, and enjoyed an easy fight for once. What? What is this speed and power? And no matter how many times she got hit, for the first time in From games, Malenia could actually lifesteal out of her strikes. The Tarnished struck multiple times, but it was all Dormammu again after taking back 1 or 2 hits. And this infamous waterfowl dance. No matter how he rolled, it would just destroy the Tarnished regardless. But with Bloodhound steps, the Tarnished managed to dodge the attacks. And after putting up this fight, the hardest yet, he succeeded in breaking the blade of Mikola.
Wait. The scarlet bloom flowers once more. You will witness true horror. Now, rot.
With the third bloom of Scarlet Aeonia, alas, Malenia rose as the new goddess of rot. The life that rose anew from the rot was surprisingly colorful, astonishing even the tarnished. But as long as she doesn't use waterfowl dance, it shouldn't be that hard. Am I a joke to you? And so, give, take, give, and take. The tarnished rose up again and again, and after a long occurrence of a bad time, at last he was able to take down the goddess of rot.
Strength. Extraordinary. The mark of a true lord. Dearest Mikola, my brother, I'm sorry. I finally met my match.
Like so, the tarnished obtained the goddess's great rune. But he still had one unanswered question in mind: the whereabouts of her brother Mikola, taken from the Haligtree. Looking for his traces, the tarnished searched far and wide in the snowfield and found a waygate suspiciously stained in blood. There, he could find where others could not: the Mogwin dynasty. Located within the grounds below Kaled, festered with rot and blood, the underground dynasty was festering with abominations. The tarnished, as well, swung a weapon imbued with the powers of blood and advanced to the throne to at last find a demigod who had been hiding.
Dearest Mikola, you must abide alone a while. Welcome, honored guest, to the birthplace of our dynasty.
Lord of Blood, Mohg. After his escape, Mohg had established a dynasty of his own. During the Shattering, the Bloodlord worked under the shadows by sending his cult followers to various places to stir up conspiracies, slowly building up his domain and influence. And for a consort goth for his lordship, he kidnapped Mikola and waited for the day Mikola would answer his plea. The Bloodlord himself greeted the honored guest. In his days in the sewers, he met an outer god named the Formless Mother, and was granted powers to change his blood to a burst of blood flame. With it, he set the arena ablaze.
Is mine.
along with delayed attacks, just like his brother Morgoth. And then, whenever he had the chance, spoke muttered what seemed to be a spell. And so, absorbing the warrior's blood, the Blood Lord gained crimson wings. The power of Omen, fused with powers of Bloodblade. Mbog's strength matched his ambition, and the fight was tough even for the Tarnished.
It's mine.
His flask ran out. His HP was running low as the battle reached its climax.
I can see it as clear as day. The coming of our dynasty. Morgwyn.
Yet the Tarnished prevailed and got his last great rune, leaving the Empyrean completely unresponsive behind. The warrior returned to the mountaintops and made way to his last destination, the Forge of the Giants, and encountered the Fire Giant. Against this giant that was cursed to tend to the flame forever, the Tarnished noticed he had a splint on his leg, so he focused there and repeatedly struck that weak spot. The Fell God manifested. It's unclear if it was the Fell God himself, or if the Fell God blessed the giant with powers. But regardless, that sheer heat was more than enough to melt the entire mountain. The Tarnished rode on Torrent and struck when he could.
Super grenade!
So after an extended horseback battle, he was able to extinguish the Fell God's flame. When the Tarnished arrived, the flame had almost died out in the forge. The warrior reached the corner and summoned Malenia as promised.
I have long observed the lands between. This world is in dire need of repair, and death indiscriminate. Are you prepared to commit a cardinal sin? Very well. Let my hand rest upon you for but a moment. O Erd tree, you shall burn. Burn for the sake of the new Lord. Thank you for guiding me here. The one who walks alongside flame shall one day meet the road of destined death. Goodbye.
With Melena's sacrifice, the Earth Tree burned. And with the last of her powers, she sent the Tarnished to where Destined Death was sealed. The capital of the ancient dragons and Dragon Lord Placidus' ruins of Faro Mazula. On this floating ancient ruin that keeps crumbling down, the Tarnished defeated the ancient dragons, their beastmen, and their loyal banished knights. Then climbed the floating debris to reach the temple built on top of the crumbling city.
Thou who approachest destined death, I will not have it so.
The beast clergyman jumped to protect Destined Death. With swift movement unlike his posture, and rock debris slings, the clergyman attempted to stop him. But the clergyman was not strong enough to stop the Godslayer.
Oh, death. Become my blade once more.
Malekith, the Black Blade. The one single-handedly doomed the Dusk-Eyed Queen, and the very shadow-bound beast Marika ordered to protect Destined Death. But when Ranni stole a fragment of Destined Death, Malekith was devastated by the fact that he failed his duty. So it resolved that he may let none ever rob death. Malekith bound Destined Death within his very own flesh, and eventually he lost his memory and sanity, reduced into a mere hungry beast. The disappearance of Malekith that had the powers to kill demigods enabled many demigods to act on behalf of their own ambitions, and consequently, the tragic event of the Shattering had taken place. But at this moment, as another sought the destined death, Malekith threw his black blades of death once more. With his blades burning in flame of death, he unleashed the power that even gods feared, and pinned the Tarnished down. But even that beastly powers could not stop the Tarnished. Forced from battles, life, and death.
Witness tarnished. I cover destined death. To kill what?
The rune of death is unbound. And the lands between are shrouded by death's dark fate. But the flames will also burn the impenetrable thorns. Farewell it is then. You'll be Elden Lord yet.
Leyndell was now covered in Erdtree's ashes. Since the thorns of refusal would be non-existent now, the Tarnished walked down the roads, and the ashes of the world he burned, to return to the Elden Throne once more.
It's been a long while, Morgoth. Long and hard didst thou fight, tarnished warrior, spurned by the grace of gold. Be assured the Elden Ring resteth close at hand. Alas, I am returned. To be granted audience once more. Upon my name as Godfrey, the first Elden Lord.
Godfrey, the first Elden Lord. The unfortunate stripped off of the golden blessing, exiled as a mortal. And now, he had finally returned as another fellow tarnished. Maybe he was the one who could slay the Elden Beast and bring a new world order to the lands. Maybe the very chosen tarnished that America waited for all this time. The grace that has been given to him guided him towards the tarnished, the powerful one that had conquered other demigods. And thus, in front of the throne, the two tarnished started fighting as guided. With the axe he picked up when he swore to be Lord, he cracked the ground and showed might that made him legendary.
Tarnished warrior, 'twas no youthful.
And the tarnished harnessed powers he obtained during his perilous quest and faced a rival on his way to lordship.
That will be all. Thou didst me good service, Siraj. I've given thee courtesy enough. Now I fight as Horalu. Warrior!
Horalu, told to be the strongest warrior of the lands. But the day he swore to be America's consort lord, he discarded the name Horalu and took the beast regent Serash upon his back to suppress his lust for battle and took the name Godfrey, the First Lord. However, to take on this worthy opponent, the First Lord had to be a ferocious fighter, so he bore the name Horalu once again. With his two bare hands, tougher than any weapon, Horalu grappled the tarnished. So in response, the tarnished clenched his fists. As warriors, the two engaged in an old-fashioned brawl. And the intense fistfight that made the arena crumble ended with Horalu's defeat.
Brave, tarnished, thy strength befits a crown.
Now was the time to finish everything. Passing through the remains of the thorns, the tarnished finally gained access to the Earth Tree. Radagon, Marika's alter ego, a follower of the Elden Beast, against the sinner who burned the Earth Tree. He swung Marika's hammer. Vessel of the Golden Order. The power that gave birth to all other demigods. Even from an enemy's standpoint, it was marvelous. In this fight as well, the Tarnished was put down numerous times. However, for the sake of the one who saved him when he was forsaken, the one who willingly burned herself for him, the last promise he made with Malenia, the Tarnished could not give up. He had to arise as the new Elden Lord. Manifestation of the Golden Order. The very incarnation of the greater will's definition of order. The Elden Beast. Despite the fact that the Elden Ring was shattered, the godly powers of the Beast was still overwhelming for the Tarnished. Yet against a figure that looked like universe itself, he struck back. With whatever he could and all he had. And soon, the figure became fractured. The Tarnished of the Last Between did not let the decisive moment go to waste. Thus, a god was slain. Prevailed from every single battle. The Tarnished slowly approached what was left of Marika.
fallen leaves tell a story of how a tarnished became Elden Lord. In our home, across the fog, the lands between. Our seed will look back upon us and recall an age of fracture.
So the exiled and forsaken tarnished, as he wanted, became Elden Lord. But with the demise of the Elden Beast, the Golden Order was basically shattered, and without a new order to replace, the reign of the Tarnished would be essentially the same as Morgoth's, collapsing down to a certain end. So on his Elden Throne, the Tarnished thought, was this truly the best outcome?